Welcome to the Program Design Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Monique, teacher and curriculum writer turned program mentor and business strategist for coaches, educators, and online experts. Whether you're looking to create your first ever group coaching program or scale your current offer for more freedom, revenue, and consistent income, this is the podcast for you. Here you'll find practical strategies and encouragement mixed with a bit of manifestation and intuition to help you grow and design a program you absolutely love. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Program Design Podcast. In this episode, I want to share what you can do when you feel like you have too many program ideas. And I want to give you some guidance, some questions that you can ask yourself to help you choose the right one. And the reason that this has come up for me recently is because I've noticed that a number of my clients, even people who have launched programs in the past, when they think about creating their signature program or when they think about even what to offer next, if those last programs weren't quite it, they tend to think like, I've got so many ideas and I'm not sure which direction to go forward on. Or even you might be thinking about, I have launched this program before, but I have this idea for a new one. Should I stick to the old one or should I do this new one? Or maybe you haven't launched a program before and you're doing a lot of one-to-ones and maybe some done-for-you work, and you have all these different avenues and ways that you could be supporting people, but you're not really sure which direction to go in. That is what I want to address in this week's episode. But before we dive in, I wanted to give you a little bit of context because I always find it so helpful to hear the kind of behind the scenes of how other people are recording their episodes, especially if they are a mom in business. So if you're new to me, I have two boys. They are 6 and 9, and I have been running my business for 8 years. So I've always been a mom in business. So I've always found it really fascinating to hear how other moms are doing it. And today's episode, I have been really focused on my funnels and especially on a new masterclass workshop that I'm doing for my paying clients, and it's also a paid workshop. So it's going to be a mix tomorrow. And that has been my main focus for work. And it is June here. It's the end of the school year. So there's been a lot going on in my personal life. And so I have not recorded a podcast episode, and it is a few days before my podcast goes out, and I am bound and determined to stay committed and consistent to my podcast. So it is a late Tuesday night, and I'm going to record this little short podcast for you because I really want to make sure that it is available for you for this week to listen to. So that is my backstory. We're staying consistent over here, even if it's a little bit of an unusual time. It is literally 10 p.m. and I'm going to get this podcast episode out for you now that my kids are in bed. So let's dive in to what to do when you have these different program ideas. So the first thing that I want to share is that a lot of us think that it's about finding this right idea, especially earlier on in our businesses. But the more you kind of move forward in business, and I see so clearly now that I work with entrepreneurs day in, day out, is that entrepreneurs are creative. You wouldn't be an entrepreneur if you didn't have the ability to think of something that doesn't exist yet and make it happen into a reality. Like that is part of our strengths as entrepreneurs. And therefore, you are going to have a lot of ideas. It is very rare to actually find entrepreneurs who don't have a lot of ideas. And so it's not wrong. You don't need to make yourself wrong for having all these ideas. But it's also, you don't need to wait to find the perfect idea or the right idea. Instead, I always think about, a mentor once said this to me, and I found it really stuck with me, is that it's not about having the perfect idea or the right idea. It's about having a good idea well executed. So instead of jumping from idea to idea to idea, it's about choosing one and refining it and improving it over time. The other thing too that we're going to dive into in a second is also that letting go of that fear that you need to find the perfect thing. So it's a balance. It's about having a good idea and executing on it well and doing it well and refining it and improving it over time, your offer, your sales system, your program itself. But also The other thing to let go of, which is kind of counterintuitive to what I just said, is that we need to let go of the fear that we're going to waste time by choosing the quote unquote wrong idea or the wrong direction or the wrong program idea. Because I notice that this is something that people get stuck on often, is that they think like, oh, I don't know if I should go for this one or if I should go for that one. And they can kind of stay stuck in like deciding and telling themselves, well, I just haven't chosen yet, so I can't move forward. I'm multi-passionate, or I have all these different possible things that I can help people with. And that is fantastic. That is a great strength. And you don't need to do this one program forever. You can try it out. And if it's not right, move forward, because that idea of action creates clarity. You are going to get so much clearer when you actually put it out there and try. But when you feel like I need to choose the right one, and if I don't choose the right one, I've wasted all this energy, that's just going to keep you stuck. And I would say what I've really noticed is that's the belief that if I go down the wrong path, it's going to waste my time, actually wastes more time than taking the action and finding out it wasn't quite the right thing. So instead of feeling like you need to find the quote unquote right idea, the right direction, or choose the right next program for you, choose one that you like, try it out. And if it's not right, you can always shift it. You can always change it. That's the beauty of running your own business. So those are a couple of shifts that I wanted to offer to you before I dive into the 3 questions to help you choose which idea to run with. Again, it's not about having the perfect idea. It's about having a good idea that you execute well on. And it doesn't have to be the right thing, because it will give you the clarity you need. And I really feel like we need to choose the direction, and the direction you go in will help you course correct. And it is through that obstacle of choosing your program. And even if it's not quite right, that will lead you to the right program. Does that make sense? But if you stay stuck, you can't move a parked car, you're not going to go anywhere. You want to get into action, get into motion. And I firmly believe that whatever the decision is that you make, it will lead you to your right program. Maybe not in the timeline that you're looking for, but it will lead you there eventually if you actually just take the action. So let's talk about the 3 questions that you can decide, that you can use to help you decide which idea to run with. The first one actually came to me from a client. I must have said this in a coaching call, and she said it really stuck with her. So when she joined my program, Signature Program Design, she had an idea of a program that she wanted to run, but it was her signature and it felt really daunting. She didn't know how to finish it. She was already working, like she had done programs in the past. She was doing her one-to-ones, and it felt really daunting on how to create that. And the one question that I asked her that shifted everything for her was this. She said, what could you talk about all day long without even thinking about it? Apparently, I asked this question in a coaching call. And this is not one that I would normally point out, but this is one that really landed for her. So I wanted to share it with you too. What could you talk about all day long without even thinking about it? That would feel easy, that would feel light, that would feel super doable, that you would love to talk about all day long? Because when I asked her this question, within 5 weeks, she designed, marketed, and launched an entirely new small group coaching program. And she got fantastic feedback from it. She got into action. She moved forward with it. And she got the feedback that she needed to be able to move forward. So that is the first question. What could you talk about all day long without even needing to think about it? What would feel easy for you? So for me, when I think about this one, is like program design, curriculum. I can talk about it all day long. It never gets boring to me. I love talking about program design. It's my favorite. And this is actually very related to the next question that I'm going to ask. Like, what is the thing that you absolutely love to talk about? And here is question number 2. What is your zone of genius? What's your zone of genius? Because oftentimes the thing that you can talk about and you can easily support people with will feel so easy and obvious to you that you can discount it. And so we want to notice, like, what is your zone of genius? And this comes from I believe it's Gay Hendricks, and he talks about the zone of genius. And there's 4 zones. If you haven't read his books, highly recommend them. Not everyone's heard of this concept, so I'm going to share about it. And the main ones that I want to share is that he distinguishes between your zone of incompetence, your zone of competence, your zone of excellence, and your zone of genius. And I want to touch on your zone of excellence versus your zone of genius. Your zone of excellence is something that you are really good at, but it doesn't necessarily spark you. It doesn't necessarily fulfill you. It's not the thing that you love to do. But your zone of genius is the thing you're really, really good at and that you absolutely love to do. It's like the thing that brings you so much joy and like it sparks you, right? And this, when I thought about the zone of genius and getting clear on what my zone of genius was, this really helped me decide on my program. Because before I decided to launch Signature Program Design, I had been doing consulting work, I'd been doing done for you work, and I'd been working in all sorts of realms. Like I was helping entrepreneurs with their systems, their behind the scenes, how they're structuring their business to make them more efficient. I was helping people with their program design and their offers. I was helping people with their sales pages, their courses, how they work, like so many things, right? And a lot of people told me, "Oh, you're so good at systems." A lot of entrepreneurs aren't great at systems. People really need this. What if you did systems? And my coach said this. A lot of my friends said this, like, what if you did systems? So I tried it out. But the thing that I got back was people thought that I would help them with their tech. And I do help people with their tech, like choosing their tech stacks and things like that on a regular basis. Absolutely. But I don't want to be known as like the tech guru. I'm fine with tech, but I don't want to be known as the one to do tech. For me, tech is a tool that supports you creating your system. It is not the system. So for example, like one tech platform I use for right now is called Go High Level. That's not my system. That's the part of the tool that helps me with my whole overarching system. But most people, when they think about systems, they think about tech platforms. And that's not really what I wanted to be known for. And also creating systems, I would say, is my zone of excellence. It's not my zone of genius. It's not the thing that I absolutely love to talk about. It's a means to an end. And when I got really clear on that, I was like, I can talk about that. And I've incorporated that into my program. And we will talk about systems if I notice that people are feeling burned out, if they're feeling like they're working too many hours and they need to streamline things. Absolutely. We'll talk about your delivery system so you can make your program scalable. But I don't want to be known for systems because that's my zone of excellence. My zone of genius is helping people organize their ideas and simplify them and streamline their whole program design, anything around ideas. Honestly, I can really help people organize their ideas and make them really simple, easy to understand, have a clear structure for them. And so curriculum, helping people design their programs, like day in, day out, I can talk about that. I love it. And it is absolutely my zone of genius. And even saying that, I feel silly because it seems so easy, but there have been enough people that have told me that they need help with that. And I have helped over 100 entrepreneurs at this point do that, so that I know that this is something that comes naturally to me, that I have obviously honed in on and improved on and learned from and all of that stuff. But it's something that, as I have been creating programs probably since I was, I don't know, like 13, 14, 15, but especially when I started creating whole curriculums for dance in like when I was a dance teacher. Like I've just always done it. So for me, it's something that I've always loved to do. It's my zone of genius. And I can see that it's my zone of genius because I've helped other people and they've reflected back that it is not something that comes naturally to them. So the next question to ask yourself is, what is your zone of genius? And the third question is again related to that zone of genius question that I kind of alluded to a moment ago. And that is to look back and what in your path is unique to you. Like, where can you start to connect the dots in a unique way? So I'm technically a business coach, but not every business coach created dance curriculums when she was 17, 16, and when I was a dance teacher up until in my early 20s. But I also created the whole step-by-step curriculum for the whole city that I was working for, the recreation programs. And like, not every business coach did that when she was 17. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was something that was unique to me. I became a teacher. I started writing curriculum. I helped thousands of teachers with curriculum. Like, that is a unique experience to me. So looking back, I can see like, oh, that makes sense. That is my unique angle, my unique edge that I can bring into my program. Like, and looking back, that makes sense. And so I wonder for you, when you look back on your experience, what can you kind of combine to make something unique? Like the client that I was talking about earlier, she's a dietitian, but she's also a musician. And she's kind of blended those two worlds into the right offer for her. Is there anything that you've done in your past that makes what you do unique, different? Is there anything that you used to love to do or that you've done in the past that you can bring forward? Like, I was speaking with an entrepreneur the other day, and she's blending like wellness and yoga with her experience with money in the financial world. Like, maybe it's something, looking back, like it's something that's unique to you that you can blend together. And what feels like that zone of genius looking backwards, and what makes your path unique that you would like to bring forward into this. So with those three questions in mind, the last one that brings it all together is, when you have those ideas in mind, the next kind of bridge to think about is, what problems could they solve? So thinking about, again, let's recap those questions. What could you talk about all day long without even having to think about it? What's your zone of genius, and what makes your path unique? The next thing to really think about is making sure that we're not keeping it mentor focused or coach focused. Is then we need to think about, okay, that's my expertise. Then from my ideal client, what is the problem that they want to solve in their words? And where's the overlap? Like, I think of it as two circles that overlap. That's the program, is like, what's the problem that they really want solved? The urgent, important problem that they want solved, that I am uniquely positioned to support them with, based on the answers that you get, that you came from with those questions. So even as I say it, you can always pause this episode as you need, maybe kind of let it percolate if this is something you're thinking about. What could you talk about all day long without having to think about it? What's your zone of genius? And what about your path is unique? And then from those, what problem could you solve based on your expertise? Because the mistake that I see a lot of us making is that we focus a lot on what we want to offer people, like what is our expertise, but we need to then make it translate into, how are they seeing the world? What's keeping them up at night? What are they stressed about? And showing them how we can solve their problem with our expertise. So I hope that this was helpful. I would love to hear if it was. Send me a message on Instagram. I'd love to know how you're doing with creating your program, with thinking about which direction you're going to go to. And of course, if this is something that you would like support with, I am currently accepting names on the wait list for signature program design. So if you would like support and you'd like to add your name to the wait list to be the first to find out about when we are going to open up registration for that program, you can send me a message on Instagram. Either way, I would love to hear from you. Let me know how that landed for you. And if you want to be added to the wait list, you can send me a message as well. And I will see you on the next episode of Program Design.